My name is Tracy Russell. I've worked in HR for almost 30 years. A lot of the work I do involves supporting managers with workplace issues. Although this can be a cause for some real anxiety for those dealing with these matters, quite often they can be resolved without things becoming formal, and managers can be very resourceful and creative in finding resolutions to problems as they occur in the workplace. Grievances and disputes can happen at any time and cover a wide range of issues such as working relationships, work pressures, changes to working practices. Sometimes problems arise outside of work and affect things in work. For example, the increase of social networking and family matters also can affect the way people behave at work. Grievances can be raised verbally or in writing, and they may be raised during other processes. For example, sometimes they come out in disciplinary processes or competency proceedings. Sometimes the problem or issue is an indication of other more deeper problems than the presenting situation. As a line manager, you will probably know your staff very well, and you can often gauge when things are not quite right. It's important, therefore, to try to establish what the issue really is, which might involve some fact-finding and talking to people in your team, or simply having a quiet word with the employee. Check your understanding of the situation to make sure you've got it right. Sometimes it isn't quite how it does present itself initially. It can be a good idea to talk to someone else if you're unsure of how to approach something. It's never too early to do this. HR are always happy to talk something through, however early this is. You could also talk to one of your peer managers, as often you will have a solution or a good idea of how to tackle something and just really need to run it past someone else first. You can access support through the expert-led workshops as well. However, it's important not to delay your responses, so at least acknowledge the problem before then seeking some further advice. Attempts should be made to resolve matters at the earliest stage, and this can't be stressed enough. It's important to tackle any situation where there may be potential conflict. Otherwise, things can develop into much bigger problems. How this is tackled is crucial to a successful outcome. Having said that, you won't be able to resolve all the issues that come your way, and sometimes your responses won't be agreeable to the employee, but that's acceptable in some cases as long as you've genuinely listened and tried to get a resolution. There are some basic principles that should help to deal with workplace issues. It helps if there's an environment that encourages staff to be able to talk openly, and where there can be exchanges about work matters, work pressures, expectations and potential issues, and where staff know what is expected and required of them. That's really important that that's clear at the outset. Be conscious of the behaviours that we now have in the council and how these can be used to encourage effective working relationships. Listen and take things seriously. Acknowledge quickly, but take time also to think things through. So don't think you have to respond immediately. Buy some thinking time if that's what's needed. Find the right time and space to meet with the staff member where there is minimum disruption. Rushed conversations are unlikely to get to the facts and may send out the message that you're really disinterested or you're too busy to deal with things. Be aware of feelings and emotions, theirs and yours, and try to keep these under control for yourself, conveying the confidence that you're doing your best to address matters. Anxiety, anger, frustration all influence the way you behave and can lead to mixed messages. To acknowledge how someone is feeling can help to get them talking. Try to work through options and outcomes in a reflective rather than emotive way. So avoid responding immediately and try to take the emotion out of it. Consider whether it is achievable to reach a compromise, a win-win situation. If not, what can be achieved realistically in the circumstances, and do I need to explore this further and involve another person? If you can try to do this in a way where the employee has a chance to influence and shape the outcome, that can be very positive. It's helpful to look at the implications for each course of action you take and any outcome you consider, so that you're aware in advance of any implications and how that might impact elsewhere. Use open questions to get as much information as possible. The questioning skills that most managers have from interviewing are the key to effective meetings. So open questions: why, how, what, when. And then closed questions for establishing facts. For example, did they shout on the corridor? What time was it? And then use summaries to make sure you've got things right. You can make a few notes, that's fine. Try to avoid leading questions, for example, questions that start with "you must admit that," because that suggests that you've taken a view already. Use active listening and think about tone and body language. Adopt a professional manner yourself, even if things are very emotional in the meeting. You need to make sure that the meeting is businesslike, or the employee may get mixed messages.